Hi everybody, it's Lace, and this video is going to go over some of the nuances of housing and some of the misconceptions I've seen players or mistakes or assumptions that they've made. When we had the Kickstarter and then through the different pledge levels, basically you put in so much money and you got so many items. It was typically a deed, a house, and some stuff, or possibly multiple deeds, houses, stuff, whatever, depending on your pledge level. Right now, the only way from the online store to actually get a deed and a house is through bundles. What's happening, at least what I see on the forums, is some people are buying houses from the online store and assuming that they can then place them. So I want to try to clarify that. You need a deed and then you need the house to place it. And you don't even have to have the house, because once you have a deed, you can you can decorate, or you can put greenhouses up, and you could do many things with the land without even having the house. Also, inside the game, there's some very cheap houses that you can put on there that you can buy from in-game gold, and stuff like that. So don't feel like you have to do it that way. Now, additionally, besides the way that you could have gotten them from the previous pledge levels, last few months they've been lotteries. And there's lotteries for deeds that are placeable anywhere, which means when they say placeable anywhere, that means in an NPC town, which is, not owned by a player, it's just a regular static game town, or a PRT, which is a player run town, like Darkstar has a town. He's actually, is he the creative director? Oh my goodness, I'm probably going to get beat up for not saying his title right. He's the executive producer, Starlong. I think that's the right way. I think I said that title the right way. Sorry, man, I really should know this after, more than a year of playing, but I messed that up. Anyway, he has a PRT town, and he would have lots on it, but they would not be available to anybody. He would only designate, you can live in my town. Then you have player-owned towns, which is like where we're at here. It's a town that I paid money for in the development of the game, backing the game, and it gave me a place to, well, I could say only you could live here. Mine's very open. Not everyone's open. Some are very guild-based, where they only want guildies living there. Hey, come live in my town. It's a free-for-all, baby. Not meant as an advertisement, but anyway, that's the idea. Some of the things that they say on the forums, like, oh, well, yeah, but if you're in a POT, they can just evict you anytime you want. Well, yeah, that's true, but most governors of your player-owned towns, they want residents. They want them to be there because they want to grow an economic community. So if they're kicking people out, they deserve to be hated. But I think you're going to find that probably 90% or more are they want you to be there, they want to make you happy, and they want to help your gameplay experience. So regardless if you're looking at a player-owned town, a player-run town, or an NPC town, when you go to the town crier, there's a couple things going on. I think as of R34 or so, when you double-click them, the first time you see them, you'll get 100 gold. So you could literally run around the world talking to every town crier and make quite a bit of gold. Secondly, they're going to show you the town residency. So you can see that there are 31 of 48 lots available here. And you can see what ones are available, what ones are owned. You can sort it by the type, depending on what you're wanting. If you're looking for a row house, oh, look, there's some available row houses, things like that. In your NPC towns right now, you're probably going to see 48 of 48 or whatever. They're pretty full right now. There are a few outliers that have some space available. So if you're totally paranoid about being evicted, well, that would be where you'd want to go. Now, keep in mind, you would be evicted if you don't pay your taxes. Some of the earlier pledge-based deeds were tax-free. This is a pretty huge boon because when you are getting the ones from the lottery or things like that, they are taxed. I think a row house is 500 gold a day. I think a village then goes to 1,000 a day, and then you go to what's next? A town is 2,000, then a city I think is 3,000, not 4,000, not sure on that. But anyway, the taxes go up. So in order to afford to live there, you have to be earning that much money. Some people are like, oh my gosh, as a casual player, I can't afford this. Well, yeah, you can. It's not quite that bad because what you want to do is go out there and you're not really so much looking to put your stuff up for sale on a public vendor or on your little vendor on your lot. And that's kind of a separate story. Some people got commission-free vendors that they could put on their lot with their pledges, but you can in-game, once you've accumulated, I think it's 20,000 gold, you can put a vendor on your lot, and I think every time you list an item, he takes 15% of whatever the asking price is, and he takes it up front. So if you price something at 100,000, well, guess what? You're going to be putting 10,000 to list that. If you yank it down and try to reprice it, well, you've already lost that 10,000. So don't overprice things, especially if your vendor's not commission free. Anyway, got off on a little tangent there on those things. Okay, so the vendor thing, that's probably a whole nother video. Really, I just wanted to cover what you need to live somewhere. So let's double click him again. Let's find an available village lot. So I've clicked it, and I'm going to click, and this works NPC, PRT, POT, whatever. And I'm going to click, it says available, and I'm going to click it. So now I've got a green compass dot up there that's going to show me where this plot of land is. Now, there's two ways to find it. One is looking at the vendor and having him show you. And if it had been a pretty much free range kind of place, the second thing I could do is I can hit P on my keyboard and I'll see a plume. Do you see that plume there? That one is also available. There's a plume going up. So P is for plume. So, but we're going to go and we're going to run to the green one. I'm hitting P kind of as we go. Oh, look, I can see there's one up there. See, this one's probably going to render because I know somebody lives there. Yeah, it's a non-house. Because it wasn't a house one, it didn't render right immediately, but now I can see that. There's a P, a plume. I can look over here. Is there any more? I don't think there is. Pretty sure this is the one we were looking at, and it says I arrived at my destination lot. So it would show me how to get there. If I'm looking, if I see something available, this is going to show me how to navigate to get there. If I wanted to, I don't have a deed for it, but if I did have a village deed, it's telling me it's a village lot, and I could hit claim lot. And when I do that, it's going to say, well, what deed are you going to use? Well, I don't have any deeds, but I would choose a deed, and then give me a warning, say, hey, this is a POT town, blah, 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 you could be evicted, buyer beware, blah, blah, blah. But, hey, if you guys live in any of my towns, trust me, you won't be evicted for any kind of weirdness. Even if you're a butthead, I'm not going to evict you. You can live on your own little piece of land, and, it's not a big deal. So, anyway, that's kind of part of what I wanted to show you. The next thing to talk about is the types of deeds. And I'm going to look like a whore because, yes, I've spent a lot of money on this game, but it allows me to educate you. So there are different things. There are player-owned town deeds. That means that that deed of whatever type it is can only be placed in a player-owned town. It can't be placed in a POT or an NPC or a PRT. Then when it just says something like road lot deed, this is basically can be placed anywhere. And I just have it in my inventory and it's not placed anywhere. Then there's a tax-free founder keep lot deed. When it says founder, that means it can be used as a water lot plus whatever size it is. This is a big ass deed and it can be placed anywhere on the water or on the land. Tax-free founder village. It says founder means can be placed in the water or wherever. Tax-free keep, that means it's land only. Town lot deed, that can be placed anywhere but not on the water. It can be placed in an NPC or a PRT or a POT. I really want to make these distinctions clear. Unless it says founder, You cannot place it in the water as of episode 1. I think there's plans in episode 2 to introduce more water lots, but unless it says founder and you're trying to buy this, whether it's off the player marketplace or trading it or whatever, if it doesn't say founder, it won't place in the water. Buyer beware. If it has the word player owned town in it, it can only be placed in a player owned town. So please, please be careful when you make purchases and stuff. Rather than blame the seller or whatever, understand the wording. So these are your limitations. Once again, to reiterate, if it says player-owned town, only in a player-owned town. If it says founder, that means it can be water or land-based. If it doesn't say founder, it is land-based only. If it doesn't say player-owned town. Okay, so we've gone over the buyer beware on deeds. Location is very important, especially if your purpose in buying a piece of land, or, well, actually buying the deed, buying the house, and then placing the deed in a good location. Some people tend to shy away from POTs at first, and that's why all the NPC towns have filled up. But the problem with the NPC towns is some of the layouts are not conducive to sales. For me, the really large cities, you can't find anybody because everything's all spread out. I prefer, and again, I'm not saying this is the best way, but I prefer the small cities. Find out if somebody says they're located, and I'm just going to make up a name in Sam's Briar Patch, and I know Sam's Briar Patch is a small place. I'm more apt to visit there, and again, this is just me, because I can navigate, and not only will I go see the guy I want to see, I might visit the other people. But if somebody tells me I'm located in, I don't know, I'm going to use Central City, like the Flash, and it's this huge place, like AKA Central Brittany or something like that, that's really spread out. Trying to find one person, or even just trying to run around and find all the vendors, I've spent 3 hours there, and I might not have bought one thing, found one deal, or won anything. And that's probably my biggest criticism of the game, is that some of our towns are so large that you can't find anything good for sale there. That's just a personal opinion. Okay, the next thing I want to cover is a space that I don't feel people utilize enough. It's probably because it's not visually there when somebody enters a property, but that's basements. I'm on a really large keep-size property, so I can pretty much put any basement I want in here, other than a castle. But you put the hatch down. Actually, let's cover the hatch. Grab this up, and I can do the hatch. So you would have a hatch entrance that would probably come depending on if you bought it from the store. If you bought the basement from the store, you'd have it. Or you might need to go right above the banker to the home deco person or the homes person, and you can get one and place it. You can double click it, and just like you change your house, you change your basement. So I've got a city stone. Let's try, I want to go with the smallest one first. Keep row. Let's do the row one first. Let's go look at that. The cool thing about basements that I've noticed, that if you move this row, if I decorated this row and then slid this to the left or right, it does keep the decorations. Unlike when you change a home, obviously the decorations have to move because it's a different home. So we're going to go in there to this 5-story row base. So you say, oh my goodness, I've got this row and oh, I don't have any room. Look at all this room. This is a ton of room down below. You can put your crafting stations. Look at this. This is quite a lovely. This is row, stone and timber. There's there's various different ones, but look at all this flat, lovely, open space. And we can just keep going down. This is probably one of the largest. Look how large this is. This is probably bigger than your row home. So if you're looking to buy, and again, you can look at many of these things in Hometown. I don't know that they have every combination of row and basement listed, but I'm just going to give you a quick little shot here of the basement. It's awesome. We're going to change basements up on the top side and be right back. So we're going to change this now to the town one. Now keep in mind you can always put a larger basement on a lot deed than it is. In other words, or I mean, I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. You can always put a smaller one. So if you have a town size lot, you can always put a village or a row, but you can't put a keep basement on a row house. You don't have that much underground. So this town 5-story is a little bit larger than what we saw with the row. It looks similar to the row, and it's gonna be similar, but we're gonna have a lot more different rooms and stuff. Actually, I didn't want to go down that one. Sorry about that. We have some adjoining rooms off the town that the um, row didn't have, obviously, because it is a much larger spot. So if you're thinking about decorating, you feel like your house is too small and doesn't have enough room, keep in mind that you've got this basement angle where you can do a lot of cool stuff. You've got, look at how many rooms are in here. That village that I showed you, I think it was only like a 2. I think there's some much larger villages than that one. Um, that's just what I happened to grab to show you. So keep that in mind, that what you show above ground is not the limitation of how you can decorate. You've got a ton of room down here. There are some that are called like arena basements, which may only exhibit one level, but again, then it limits the amount of deco, and they're really, really big. I think it's like, I don't know if it's the keep or the castle arena basement. It's huge. It's so huge that I've seen people get lost just trying to get in to the main area because there's so many sub passages and stuff. Um, but it's, just understand that a basement really changes the size of the property that you're, looking at. So having a row, and you saw how much room there was in a row basement, it gives you a huge amount of property. So to reiterate everything, right now, as of R35, the only way to get a deed is to buy a bundle from the store or to win a lot deed in the lottery. And then, of course, you then got to get the house, the basement, and all that. But those are the only ways really to get land now, or unless you buy it from someone on the marketplace. I've showed you the titles of deeds in a buyer beware. I've showed you how even with a tiny row house deed, how much space you can gain by having a nice basement. I hope that helps everybody, and take care, happy hunting, and be safe.